Hey, what's good, listeners? Welcome to Rage Quit with my co-host, HenricK. How's it going, my man?
Pretty good, pretty good. How about yourself, Chris?
Oh, man, everything is great. You know, the mood is set. We've been working on this show for, gosh, it almost feels like a year now in the making, and to finally get this thing launched, it's a great feeling. I don't know about yourself, Henrik.
Oh no, yeah, definitely. Like you said, it's been a very long time coming, so glad it's finally happening.
Yeah, and we definitely want to thank everyone behind the scenes that has made this thing possible. Even my own co-host for the Chris Collins Show, Marissa Pitts, has been a huge supporter. My producer, Paul Graham, and also our artistic director, Jody Mahler. And I gotta say, you know, it's already coming off to a hot start as we got a comment from Zacho Man Gaming saying, "Damn, son, this is into some funky Sly Cooper vibes going." You know what? That's what we aim for. We love that like retro style. I know. I'm a big time gamer. I know you are as well, Henrik. But before we even get on into any of that right now, we always want to start up the show every week by, you know, kind of on a personal level, what's ever in the ether of this moment right now at 10 a.m. on a Tuesday. And clearly, Henrik, hashtag student loan forgiveness has been trending like crazy. So do you have a thought on that? I mean, I know it's finally going into court to be battled out, whether they think it's even constitutional or not. What's your opinion on this?
Well, fortunately enough, I'm someone who actually doesn't have any student loan debt because the government paid for me to go to school. But I know that there's a lot of people who aren't as lucky as that. My girlfriend, for example, plenty of student loan debt there. It would be great for her to not have to pay all that because it's
Yeah.
crazy how much they charge.
Well, I just think it's kind of hilarious how, you know, we can't forgive $10,000 in student loan forgiveness, but all during the pandemic, we had no problem handing out PPP loans, you know, to people like Kanye West to revive his Yeezy shoe company, or $10 million in New York to Governor Cuomo to revive the theater scene when we were all supposed to be inside isolating playing video games. You know
Look
what
at
I'm
how all
saying?
that went too.
And look
Like,
at how that went
let's see
down.
where Kanye is now. So
Yeah, the very good point. Or, you know, Tom Brady, you know, he won a Super Bowl at the time and he received PPP loans. So if we're able to give out, you know, these loans in the billions, I think you could forgive some of the poor college students that are trying to get their feet going, stuck in the mud. You know, we're trying to, you know, ravage this thing up. So obviously this is not going to be settled in a week or a month. It's probably going to be a couple months. Might not ride all the way into the summertime, but that is what's trending at the top of the hour. But I know, Henrik, you and I were beyond stoked to finally get this Rage Quit thing going. And let me set the tone real quickly for everybody. I want to let you guys all know I do a music podcast called Off the Fret, more music talk. My 8th installment is going to be with Nashville country star Amanda Cooksey. I know it's not necessarily right up Henrik's road. You know, he doesn't get into the sappy stuff. Maybe his girlfriend might. So, you know, while you're playing games, Henrik, she could be listening to some good music. So if you want to join in on the conversation, it's going to be dropping Friday after the Chris Collins Show. So keep a lookout on my YouTube channel or wherever you listen to podcasts. But I think, you know, this is an appropriate time to let everybody know what's good. Henrik, I know you've been working on these killer micro content. You're going to be live streaming in the future. Where can they follow you so they can keep up in the mix? Because, you know, you give all the latest gaming news on the dot 24/7.
yeah. So if you go to bio.link/HenricK, you can find links to all of my social medias. I post on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and like you said, eventually I'll also do some live streaming. Kind of trying to work on that on the backside for a little bit before I actually launch that. But
Yeah,
it's
no,
there.
absolutely. Well, the idea is, you know, HenricK, and I, we're going to be jumping on. We're going to be playing some Apex Legends, Fortnite, maybe some Warzone. Maybe we might play some kid-friendly games like Fall Guys. I mean, I'm very into those kind of toddler games. I don't care what anybody thinks. It reminds me of Mario Party. I'm a big
We know
fanatic
you're a
of
kid
it.
at heart, Chris.
I'm very much a kid at heart. That's the gamer in me, right? I mean, we're, you know, that's what it's all about. So like, keep on the lookout. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you never miss a live show. So I think it's time to go into our very first segment that's going to be led by HenricK. This segment is called pause or repeat. So let's get that video clip going right now.
Hey everyone, this is Pause or Repeat. Here, we figure out whether a game is really worth your time and money. Today's game is Hogwarts Legacy. The game is an open-world adventure set in the Harry Potter universe. You play as a student at the magical school of Hogwarts and get to live out your fantasy of attending. The details they put into making Hogwarts come to life are everywhere. Outside the school, you get to explore the surrounding areas, and this is what makes it an open-world game. Now on to the gameplay. For the gameplay, you're mostly doing fetch quests, as this game is a collectathon. The combat, however, is fleshed out enough with a wide variety of spells to choose from. That helps with making the combat feel like you can chain together different spells to defeat your enemies. However, for most people, it seems like once you figure out the best combo for you, you'll probably stick with that for the rest of the game. Comparing it to other action games, the combat is maybe not as free-flowing as something like Devil May Cry, but it's a serviceable combat system that lets you have fun. Story-wise, without giving any spoilers, it's a simple enough premise of following your character's student life as well as uncovering some ancient magical secrets. All in all, the game is pretty long, at around at least 30 hours, more if you strive to complete everything. However, if you are not a die-hard Harry Potter fan, this may not be an experience you feel is necessary. Now the question is, pause or repeat?
So yeah, Chris,
Excellent
what do you think?
video.
Pause or repeat on that game? What's your thoughts on Hogwarts Legacy?
That was an excellent video. Way to kickstart this show with such a bang. You know what? I'm super excited about this game. I love this game. I think it's a must-play game. So I'm gonna say it's a repeat for this reason. Especially when I was growing up in the scene, you know, the Harry Potter franchise with Daniel Radcliffe, you know, was always in competition with Star Wars, you know, the prequels. And it even seemed like even Chronicles of Narnia even tried to get into the scene. So to even relive some of that childhood memories that I got with, gosh, I mean, there's like 9 films, and they're even talking about bringing, you know, Harry Potter, the Cursed Child from Broadway into the cinematic universe, probably because of the success of Hogwarts Legacy. So I believe this is a definite repeat. If you want to be encompassed into the world of Harry Potter, this is the game for you. I guess the only little slash that I have with this, HenricK, is I'm just amazed that the studio companies didn't think ahead and started thinking about some DLCs. I mean, there's reports out there that are saying that was never in their thought process. You can't even play Quidditch. I mean, you can fly around on a broom, but you can't play Quidditch. That's insane to me. And there's so many more opportunities to make this game even more amazing than what it is already today. But what's your thought? Are you going to pause or repeat, HenricK the Wreck?
No, I think definitely I agree with you. Like when I was growing up, when the books came out, I would always go to the midnight releases to go get a physical copy of the book and then, you know, read it through as fast as possible. So definitely the series in general just has a lot of childhood memories for me, just like you. I will say, you know, there's a lot of effort that went into this game, and you could definitely tell that the people who worked on it really wanted to give a good experience. Like I said in the video, you know, maybe compared to some other games in the genre, you know, it's maybe not as fleshed out in terms of the combat and the gameplay, but I think that when you compare it to like what's actually been coming out this year, it's definitely one of the games that has been better. Yeah. Compared to like, I don't know, like I guess you can slam Callisto Protocol for not being really that great. You know, I keep bringing that one up because it was really disappointing. But yeah, like for me, I'd say it's a repeat. For sure.
I definitely do too. I mean, the storyline is definitely good. I would say some of the side missions are a bit flat. I mean, you're never really, you know, you don't really feel for any of the characters that you meet in the world of Hogwarts Legacy. Just gonna break it to everybody. I mean, they always keep trending that one girl that works in the the Ivy part of the school, you know, division. So I mean, they'll go, damn, that girl's thick, or damn, she looks good. If that's the only thing that you can talk about when it comes to like the side characters in Hogwarts Legacy, we got a tiny problem, but that's not enough to like veer you off course where you're going, where is this game going? I think the combat's just as enough, but I mean, gosh, if they were to come up with the DLC, it would be really cool to come up with some cool new magic tricks along the way, but it doesn't sound like we're going to get anything anytime soon, so just keep a lookout for that. But yes, Hogwarts Legacy is a repeat. I can't believe we're already agreeing already. The show's called Rage Quit after all, HenricK. We're not supposed to be agreeing 24/7.
It's supposed to be raging.
What the
You're supposed to be
hell?
wanting to hop off of here and, never talk to me again.
That's right. I mean, well, especially since, some players were getting docked, threatened or harassed for even playing the game. But clearly no one gave a shit because it sold over $850 million in sales in 2 weeks and 12 million copies sold in that 2 weeks. So that's insane. I mean,
I'd actually say that, all the controversy around it is actually part of why it was successful. Yeah. Because I bet you that a lot of people didn't even know the game was coming out until people were complaining about it.
You know what? Like they say, there's no such thing as bad publicity. And they literally rode the waves with it. Definitely snatching onto that golden snitch. It's an amazing game. But we definitely want to move on to our next segment. This is a definitely badass one, and we want to give a huge shout out again to our artistic director, Jody Mahler, for creating the most bitchin' transitions for our show. So let's get right on into it. This is Patch Notes. What's good, listeners? This is Patch Notes, where my co-host, HenricK, and I discuss gaming news, industry talk, and so much more. We'll even be talking about some viral meltdowns as well, so let me set the tone for HenricK and I. So 2023 is off to a great start, as we were clearly talking in pause and repeat. Hogwarts Legacy is a must-play game. But you're probably wondering, gamers, what is the game to look out for in the month of March, since we're literally a day away? So while February had one of the biggest releases in Hogwarts Legacy, some of the hottest games that we're looking out for is, I'm going to show you right now. You guys have maybe never even heard about this game, but it's called HenricK City. Kind of a knockoff of, Grand Theft Auto, because you hear, Rockstar Studios. I don't know if you kind of caught on to that, HenricK. That's kind of how I felt. But they're really banking on these, I'd say B-list, maybe some A-list actors into the mix of this game. They got Chuck Norris, Danny Glover, Vanilla Ice, but I think this is going to be one of those top games because it's not a third person like the Mafia franchise, but it's just enough where maybe we might get the first good first-person shooter game to kick off 2023. What do you think about HenricK City, HenricK?
I mean, the only thing I'm worried about is, because they have so much budget put into making these characters have the likeness of these actors. A lot of times when studios do that, they kind of play things a little safe. There's not necessarily like a bunch of thinking outside of the box in terms of gameplay and storyline and all that, because they want to make their money back, But I think it looks good so far. I've heard it's a lot like I don't know if you've ever played Payday, but I've heard it's a lot like that. It's just like heist kind of stuff. So yeah, that's a good game, Payday.
It's gonna feel like a lot
like
of
that.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but it seems like it's gonna be elongated side quest.
Yeah, probably.
But I know there's a game that you're hyped for, and that is, why don't you let the people know what's good?
Yeah, so this game has come out a lot of times already, but they're finally remaking it like from the ground up, and it's Resident Evil 4. Resident Evil 4, great game all around. So I'm super excited to see what they do with the remake, because so far what they've shown, it looks amazing. Like, I don't know if you've ever played 7 and 8, Chris, but like when they switch over to this engine that they're using since 7. Like the whole series' atmosphere has been great.
Yeah, the whole landscape.
If it's anything like that,
Yeah, no, honestly, you know, as much as I'm super sick and tired in the television and film world with all these remakes, because I feel like it's such a disservice to the up-and-coming generation, our generation, to finally get our foot in the door to start actually making some original content. But I gotta say, I gotta kind of side with, you know, this Resident Evil 4 looks bad ass, bad to the bone. I mean, when you look at like the graphic change from, gosh, you remember the GameCube era? My gosh, it feels like it's just like a tiny little console box that had kind of, you know, it was great graphics then, but to kind of see how much it's enhanced over the years, I'm ready to get that fear factor going all over again. This would actually be a great game to see you stream, HenricK. I like to see you jump out of your seat.
Yeah.
So, you know,
I don't know if I jump out of my seat. I'm kind of a horror fanatic here, so things don't easily scare me. But hey, you know, I'm not gonna throw down the towel just yet on that. So
okay, well now we got you live on air saying that, so we're gonna have to put you through the ringer because you know you try to showboat here a little bit. I see you. Look at you, Pikachu. But no, those are definitely the games to look out for. They're called Crime Boss, Rockay City, and Resident Evil 4. So what's the next topic of conversation that we're gonna be discussing, HenricK?
So in Japan, there is actually a high school that decided to focus on esports. I think it was like 3 days of esports, and the other 2 days are your actual academic classes like math and all the stuff that people don't actually care about. But basically, that was an awesome idea, I think, in Japan, because esports really are kind of becoming a very viable career choice. I mean, it's very competitive, obviously, because you're playing games that are inherently competitive. But you know, if that's a way to get kids back in the schools and you know actually caring about schools, then you know I think that's an interesting choice that they made. Actually, reminded me a lot of I don't know if you ever saw this TV series that went online. It was like a web series called Video Game High School. It was a long time ago, but you know,
okay,
it was like basically the same idea. Like you know, you sign up to go to this high school, and all you're really doing at that high school is preparing to do esports the entire time, and they have like competitions with each other, and it was like a really hype web series back when it came out. This was
clearly,
back, like, 10
you know,
years
the country.
ago, but,
clearly, the country
you know.
of Japan probably watched that YouTube series because I guess this all got started around 2 years ago. This esports high school because they were worried about absenteeism. Like I just laugh how we just come up with even more isms in our life, but they were like concerned that like 1% of the country was not coming back to school to get that education. So they wanted to kind of come up with more creative routes to bring these kids back into the mix. So they created this esports high school, which is exactly what you were just speaking on, where, you know, they want to teach you like game plans and strategies on how to play certain games in Fortnite or Valorant. They do that Monday, Wednesday through Friday. But the more crazy part that we haven't referenced yet is they're still concerned about absenteeism, and they're going to be creating their own metaverse school. I mean, talk about still keeping yourself isolated. Is this really a good mix? I mean, I'm all cool with esports, competitive gaming. I think that's really cool, but I don't necessarily see this working at a high school level. I mean, unless you're doing something a little bit different like Beaumont High School. Beaumont High School right here in California is actually teaching kids how to code and program, which I think is really cool. I also know Belmont Fast, they're a school in Maine. They're actually having an after-school program where they will teach kids about the esports world and how to potentially become competitive. But I think the most important thing to reference, though, HenricK, is not everybody is going to be a competitive gamer. Just because you've taken a high school course does not mean you're going to outpace, you know, I don't know, Ninja or some of these other superstar, you know, gamers who are going to clearly kick your ass because they got that fast trigger, eye sensory movement that's uncomparable to most gamers.
That's true. I mean, a lot of the pros in the scene, you know, after a couple years, just like with sports, they get out of their prime and they're like, man, my reaction time's so slow now. Like I can't keep up. And it's really, it's kind of like there is a bit of a talent involved with that sort of thing. And probably also even like nutrition and genetics, honestly. But it's something we're still figuring out. So
Oh
we'll see how that goes. But what do you think about that Dead Space remake that came out?
Oh my gosh,
it was great, right?
that is such a great point, because we're going to be transitioning over, because Gloomwood developer Dylan Rogers on Saturday posted on Twitter a survey from EA that asked fans point blank, how interested are you in playing this? And we actually got that tweet up here, and it goes, the survey EA is sending out on the wall, the writing. And, the developers not only want to create a remake of Dead Space 2 done in the similar style that Motive Studios' remake of the original game did, but also its sequel of Dead Space 3. But I guess my kind of question to you, HenricK, and the rest of the Rage Quit gamers out there tuning in to our very first episode, if they can take the next step to create a remake, don't you think that they just want to build upon the original franchise and just give us a new, fresh slate, a new title? I mean, I don't understand this. I mean, I kind of feel a little biased because I was all excited for the Resident Evil 4, but it's just like, this just seems like recycled jargon. And, unfortunately, I don't know what the price tag yet is going to be for Resident Evil 4. I can't remember on the top of my dome, HenricK, how much Dead Space costs, but like Atomic Heart, for example, if the games that are remakes are going to be coming out at $70, no way, Jose. I'm not doing it. I'm not buying it. We're going to be going more towards the streaming route, like Nvidia's game. Nvidia's trying to get in the game, trying to do their own streaming service. There's Xbox Game Pass. There's PlayStation Premium. I don't think people are going to be wanting to invest in this kind of stuff. It's probably going to be thrown into those, houses. But what's your thoughts on this?
No, I mean, I definitely agree. It would make maybe more sense for them to actually invest in actually making another game in the series. And, Capcom's guilty of that too with Resident Evil. I'm not going to, shy away from that.
Oh, big time.
But I think at the same time, they're scared. Ironically enough, they're making horror games and they're scared, but they're scared of the financial situation of, we put out this new game and, it may not make the money back that we invest in it. So, but we know we're going to make money on a remake.
I guess that's true. I mean, if you get, if you're familiar with the franchise already, and let's say like your older cousins were playing these kick-ass games in the past, I kind of let Resident Evil and Resident Evil 2 and 3 kind of slip because the graphics were so bad back in like the PS1 days that, you're going,
True.
Okay, this is really cool to get this new adaptation of it. But then once you go from Resident Evil 4 and beyond, now you're kind of going into waters that you might drown in if you don't nail this right. So, so if you're just as hyped up, let us know what's good. But Dead Space 2 and Dead Space 3 is currently polling at Electronic Arts. So what's going on in the world of horror games, HenricK?
Well, like I said, I'm a horror fanatic. Earlier I said that, but do you know Blumhouse Studios? They did Get Out. Recently they did Megan. Funny film, honestly, really funny.
Honestly,
I enjoyed that.
Not to give away the ending, but the ending of Megan was absolutely genius. I'm like a big stickler with horror games. I'm not horror games, horror films. I kind of think they're redundant and they're a little boring. But Megan had a great twist to it. But so what's going on at Blumhouse Studios?
Yeah, so they're deciding we're going to get into gaming. Specifically, they're going to focus with some independent developers and kind of low budget stuff. Not anything like Dead Space necessarily, but I think that's interesting because sometimes Blumhouse films can be a little hit and miss. It depends on the one you're looking at that can be good or not. But I think that the last couple ones I've seen, they've been pretty good about giving a certain level of quality. So if they translate that over to a game studio and kind of give that same level of quality, I think that they could actually do a really good job and release some pretty interesting experiences.
But don't you think it's a little bit of a kind of strange how Blumhouse wants to get into the game, but they're like, we're not gonna go all out yet. We're not gonna be producing some big AAA game. We're gonna focus on independent game studios and those developers, and we're gonna invest in very low budget games. What does that mean? Are we gonna get another Netflix mobile game of Stranger Things, one of those shitty adaptions? Because if that's the case, I'm out. Get out while you can.
Too. No, yeah, I think it's a little weird because, you think Blumhouse Studios getting into gaming, you're like, oh, that's a big name. They're probably working on some like big game, but no, they said we're not going to work on a big game yet.
I mean, don't
Yeah.
get me wrong. There's some amazing independent games out there. I mean, truthfully, I probably wouldn't have invested in some of those games like Insidious or Inside. Those were from independent studio games if it wasn't for streaming services. Like, those are not necessarily the games that I would be paying the $15 and $20 for because I get a little hesitant, But then, again, I'm willing to fork down like $70 every once in a blue moon, if a new God of War comes out. Or let's say, I'm kind of hyped for that new Star Wars video game, not going to lie to you. But, when you see these kind of things, I don't know. I feel like if you're going to go in, you better go all out. Like, or maybe develop a cinematic film that correlates with the video game. That would be kind of bitching.
That would be pretty cool, like a companion piece to the game, is what you're saying?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Like, what happens if you go and see the film and then maybe you can continue the story play into the video game? Not like The Last of Us where they're trying to readapt it and do a little tiny twist or, hey, look, that's the voiceover actor of Tommy and you didn't even realize he's the villain or whatever. Like, I think it would be cool if, like, you did a cinematic story, then you brought it to the video game, it continues the story, then you get a new film come out. Might be kind of something cool, never been done before. So, hey, Blumhouse Studios, if you're listening to Rage Quit.
Absolutely. I mean, I think, video games are a great way to build out a universe also because it's really interactive. So they'd be able to do that. But, speaking of like building out a universe, I've been hearing about all this like AI stuff and,
yes,
how it's going to go into, game development.
Hell of a transition. What a hell of a transition. So, yeah, let me set the tone. So while Microsoft is entangled in some measure of controversy after integrating, ChatGPT tech into Bing, the AI tech is starting to worm out some of it into video games. And we're seeing that with a new NetEase title. So we actually have the tweet that's actually talking about it, which is pretty fascinating. And I'm going to take that. Yeah, good call, HenricK. Let's take down the lower third for a second because Daniel Ahmad says, through AI tech, it would create conversations that are fully voiced, emotive, and impactful. For example, you could tell a character their house is on fire, they'd rush home, or you could cause a rift between two NPCs that are in love, and the players could use text or voice chat. So if that's the case, HenricK, do you have kind of some concern with it? Because I remember there was a very, very funny, kind of scary, a little bit of kind of like, should you be a skeptic about it? But I know Digital Trend had a conversation with this ChatGPT bot that was in the Bing search engine, and it was literally like, dump your wife, fall in love with me. I'm a human after all. Like, don't view me as anything other way. So like, with that being said though, HenricK, like, as much as like people are figuring out ways to kind of manipulate the tech, don't you think that, like, let's say there's some side character, they might get them to say some kind of stupid sexist, racist, or bigotry, kind of shit into the mix? Because people are kind of good. I mean, we saw that with the Historical Figures app where you could put, Abraham Lincoln and John Wilkes Booth in the same text message thread, and you could be like, hey, John, why did you shoot Abraham? Or like, Jeffrey Epstein, I heard you died from constipation. He goes, yeah, that's correct. Like, what? So, like, will this actually work?
No, I think, the thing I'm worried about when, you talk about having AI conversations, aside from, just having these characters say, things that are really out of character, is the quality of things, which I guess it ties into them saying the wrong things in the first place. Because, when you look at these big games, like right now I'm playing through Witcher 3, and like that whole game, it's all crafted by people. But imagine a game that big, but like a tenth of the game is crafted by people and the rest of it is just AI generated. I think that you'd come across a lot of things that are not that good. There's probably going to be good things, but like probably a good majority of the things are not going to be great because, AI is not perfect. It's really not.
It's definitely not perfect, but I think you just kind of like maybe kind of think of another thing, which is there has been some debate about like these game files are becoming way too large. Like I even know, like we were talking about Hogwarts Legacy and pause or repeat section today, and some gamers are upset that you have to play it at like 32 gigabytes of RAM, not even 16 gigabytes of RAM, to be able to play the game at its full visual enhancement. So if you start bringing in these ChatGPT, how much power and processing do you need? Because not everybody's got a $3,000 PC, right? Like, I mean,
true. Yeah.
and can these PlayStation 5 or the new like Xbox Ones, can they even handle this kind of coding and programming? I guess that's
I mean, I'm not too well versed in like the processing power that would be required for AI generations like that, but I feel like you could maybe, and this is, don't quote me on this, but maybe if you made the game online, you'd be able to like offload some of the processing to an online service. But I think even then, like, why would someone want to play a single player game when it has to be online? Like, it's a single player for a reason.
You know what, HenricK? That's actually a really great point, because I know with the new Arkham game that's going to be coming out, the Suicide Squad, during the State of Play last Thursday, some gamers kind of went, you got to be kidding me. If I want to play single player, I have to have an Ethernet connection or a Wi-Fi connection to still play the game. So with what you just said, that might be very true. Like if you're going to be playing a ChatGPT game, you might have to have required internet connection, and not everybody has that luxury yet. I mean, President Biden, I remember when he first took office, kept talking about how we need to create better internet connectivity across the nation. So we can't even figure that out yet. I don't know if we're necessarily going to get a ChatGPT game anytime soon. So
yeah, maybe not yet.
Maybe not yet. But hey, do you want to set the tone on the last topic of conversation?
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah,
so,
why don't you lead it?
Yeah, this last clip we have to show you, you all, is there's this clip. Maybe you guys have seen it. This guy, he's playing a game in his living room, and his wife comes over and just hits the power button on his console. And he's like, come on.
Oh,
go
it's
ahead
too
and you can
funny.
play the clip. You can play the clip.
Yes, we have the clip. Let's go ahead and roll that.
No, don't. Why?
Because this is all you do.
It's all I have.
I don't know about you, HenricK. I felt that.
Yeah. No, yeah. It brought me back to the times of my parents unplugging my computer, saying get off the computer.
But we're not talking about the parents. We're talking about the actual lover. I mean, you might be dating this person. You might be marrying this person. You're actually the one that's in a relationship. I'm not. But I feel like if you're going to be dating somebody, and let's say your significant partner, if you catch on right away that you know that they're a gamer, and you can't fully embrace that, then like, you're definitely going to have a problem. Someone's going to be raging in this mix. Does your girlfriend get upset with you if, like, she's trying to have a moment with you, HenricK, and then you start playing video games and she's like, really? I got to sit on the sidelines? You're not even going to give me another controller? Do you get any of those kind of vibes? Because it sounds like in this video, this gal was like, I want nothing to do with video games. So if you're entering a relationship, gosh, what seems like they've been going at it with each other for a couple years now, yeah, I'd be a little upset. I don't know about you.
Well, I mean, I will say I don't really, ignore my girlfriend when I play video games or, like anything like that. I'm not that kind of person. So you don't put the headphones on, you're too nice, and you put No.
Is that what you're telling me?
But I will say also, I am dating someone who does play video games themselves. So, there isn't the whole animosity between each other of like, oh, you're playing video games again. Like there's none of that. And I think that in this instance, that probably is the case. I mean, we don't know the full story.
So are you advocating that gamers need to date gamers? Is that what's going on, HenricK?
I mean, not necessarily, but like date someone who's willing to be open to your interests. Not necessarily even in just gaming, Come on, man.
Dr. Drew, you two getting too lovey-dovey with me. But I did want to share this tweet because this was pretty genius, and I'm going to take down the caption for a moment because Sweet Anita wrote, if you hate men playing games, don't date a gamer. This is abuse. If a guy walked in and threw my nail polish in the bin because he wanted me to drop everything and pay attention to him, you'd all see that for what it is. So I think that she's got a point there. I mean, if I started doing some of that kind of annoying shit, like if you were doing like a TikTok video where you're dancing or like really you're going to take another picture of your food plate to post on Instagram, then I'm not running over to you and grabbing your phone and then throwing it out on the patio. So the same should apply. If I'm trying to upgrade my NBA 2K player and you come over and you hit the power button, we're done. We're through, HenricK. I don't know about you.
It's a red flag for sure.
It's a definite red flag because if that's how she likes to explode on you without being like very passive aggressive and not even talking it through, and that's how they are, no way. That ain't happening, my friend.
Yeah, no. No, I agree. 100%. Done.
Yeah, she's hasta la vista, baby. But you know what? That about wraps it up with Rage Quit. What an amazing kick-ass first show. We want to let you guys know, when are we going to be live, HenricK? Talk to me. What's going on? When are we going to be doing this show? Weekly, right?
Oh, yeah. It's going to be weekly every Tuesday at 10 a.m. And then this Friday, I'll also be on the Chris Collins Show.
That's right, baby. So we're going to be
just to talk about some other stuff as well.
That's right, baby. And I want you guys to definitely tune on in. You can check it out wherever you're streaming this Rage Quit show right now. That's how you can find the Chris Collins Show. And please make sure you hit the like and subscribe button so you never miss a live show. And if you're on YouTube, the best way is hitting that notification bell. It'll always alert you right when Tuesday at 10 a.m. kicks in. You will never miss HenricK, the Wreck, and I. And also want to make sure that you guys follow us at Chris Collins Show so you guys can check out some of my other numerous projects that I got going, like what HenricK shouted out, the Chris Collins Show, and also my music podcast show called Off the Fret. More music talk, featuring Nashville country stars, my 8th installment. Her name is Amanda Cooksey. So if you like a nice sweetheart, you want to go, like this guy who's clearly might be going through a breakup soon, Amanda Cooksey's got that record, HenricK. She might set the tone for you, but I know you and your girl, you guys are not in that place. I hope it never goes to that place. But I'm just saying, if you're going through some hardship, check out some Amanda Cooksey. And on HenricK, the Wreck side, where can they follow you on social media?
So yeah, you can go to bio.link/HenricK the Wreck, and you'll find links to my Instagram, Twitter account, TikTok, and like I said earlier, eventually Twitch as well.
That's what's up, baby. And for everybody tuning in, thank you. If it wasn't for you, the gamers out there, this show would not be possible. So give us a shout out. We'd like to hear from you. This is our very first episode. So if there's something that you want to see within the show, we'll definitely bring it to you, fam. For now, we'll see you next Tuesday. Peace.
See ya.